Howdy y'all, it is Jim, and unfortunately for you, we're going to be talking about Elden Ring tonight, whenever you're watching this. Specifically the network test, and specifically it's online. I'm not going to spoil too much in the way of PvE content. I myself felt like trying to go at my own pace through the world was practically impossible when I knew there was a timer to my playtime, so most of my footage is me taking that time and co-oping, invading, dueling, getting a feel for Elden Ring's online experience, of which I mostly have glowing remarks and a few rather important worries to share. We'll get to that bridge when we come to it. A brief note before we go any further. Codes for the network test were incredibly difficult to come by. It was like trying to find a washed head of hair at a fighting game tournament. I would like to thank Cygeneerist and Miss Jennifer for helping me in that regard. Bless you both. I thank you and appreciate you. And honestly, bless the lot of you folks out there who were so generous in giving out your own codes to other people. It's crazy to think about how most of the content creators and streamers I know of in the Souls community ended up getting their own codes from charitable donations rather than from the Bandai themselves. If that doesn't speak to the goodness of some human beings out there, I don't know what to tell y'all. Thank you again. For now, general thoughts about Elden Ring. Many other YouTubers have talked at length about the possibilities and the wonders and the spectacular moments of the single player and the PvE, whatever you choose to call it, and I would have to agree. Elden Ring is setting up to be From Software's best Soulsborne PvE yet. I'm careful to choose my words because Sekiro is some tough competition, but everything else, including Bloodborne, might blow those out of the water. I'm saying that right now. I have to temper my own excitement. I will have to say we only saw a small portion of the entire game, a small sample of what the open world may look like, and even a small sample of what a genuine From Software dense level, the Stormvale castle, that one, we only got a small portion of that as well. And with the sprawling hills, the cliffs, the beautiful ocean sides, the hidden caves and the doors hidden in crevices, the wildlife patrols, roaming bosses, and absolutely mysterious and frightening creatures out there in the wild. All of this just completely indicative of From Software's consistent creativity. With all of that, there were so many quality of life improvements, sensible evolutions of the Soulsborne formula. For those folks who have had pet peeves with the Souls series, this game will most likely one-up and soothe the itchy pains that you've had with the older games. It most certainly did with mine. Going back now to play some of the older games now that I've played Elden Ring, it hurts. It hurts a little bit to see. It feels like the older games have aged half a decade more after playing Elden Ring. I don't want to ramble too much about the PvE. I can talk about it forever. The specific boss, Fell Omen, we see him in the trailer. Oh my god, I could gush about that. If that boss is indicative of the quality of the other important lords in Elden Ring, then Sekiro bosses are going to start to sweat. And I'm not talking about abstract difficulty either. I'm talking about fun, engaging, varied bosses that don't obliterate your camera, that react in sensible and intriguing ways to how you move and to how you attack. If you use magic or ranged, how do they respond to that? If you go in and try to spam, how do they respond to that? How do their combos work based on your position to them? What happens if you try to move away? Do they disengage or do they continue to jump at you? See, I'm rambling again. Boss design is so equally important. A boss that is a masterpiece in and of itself is more important than just having a boss that is difficult. Like, I don't know. First thing that comes to mind is like Four Kings from Dark Souls 1. You just needed to hit that boss. You just needed to. That was a DPS check. I'm hoping that there are no bosses like that in Elden Ring. Maybe there will be, but that boss is thrown away in some hidden cave that you could totally miss altogether. But the main bosses, the ones that are crucial to beating the game, like, you don't need to play all of the game in order to beat the game. But I'm hoping that the main line of content, if this network test is any indication, this is going to be the best. Anyway, I could talk about the art style, the visual design. Oh my god. I don't know. I am going to be sleeping soundly at night between now and February with full confidence that this game is going to be an experience worth having. Unless don't say it. Don't say it. Don't even say it. And anyways, in between all of that, there is Elden Ring's Online. That's what I want to focus on right now. The co-op, the invasions, etc. And I must say, so far, I think the foundation is rock solid. Understandably so. There has been quite a lot of noise being made over the fact that there are some particular issues with Elden Ring's Online. For instance, old glitches from Dark Souls 3 are being seen again. Those most certainly need patching. 100%. Some other issues like backstabs seemingly not going through, seemingly not even working on people that are standing still, not moving left, not moving right, but just are standing still. Backstabs aren't going through. Other issues like, why does the lance weapon, why is that the only weapon with passive hyper armor? Like, none of the other weapons, if you hit them in between you and them getting hit, you'll stun the other person, but the lance is the only one that will continue its attack all the way through. Why is the lance so special? Like, what's going on there? It definitely seems to me, it has been noted before, some things felt underworked in the network test, and other things looked absolutely free. Like some of the weapon arts were completely inexpensive to use, like the lightning bolt weapon art. The weapon art that I ended up using a lot with the twin blades and the dual scimitars, it was the spinning slash. So some of these weapon arts didn't expend a lot of FP, so you could just spam them almost readily, and others felt a bit underpowered. So it definitely felt like the online balance was still being worked on, but they gave just the right amount of options and tools for players just to get a peek at what potentially they're working on. I hope it's still being worked on. We, of course, are going to voice our opinions and our complaints, and then we're going to go from there. With all that being said, it is encouraging to see From Software and Bandai Namco open up feedback channels for players. Like they've created questionnaires for players of the network test to voice their experiences. Even with all of that, even with all of the old glitches addressed, even with some of the issues now being worked on, there will most likely be new problems that Elden Ring will create that are wholly unique to itself. But overall, the performance of the game, stable for both console generations. And aside from some bugs like invisible enemies and some very mysterious boss happenings, we do need to see what that extra month of delay will bring out of the game when it fully releases. For the most part, I am more confident than anxious about this game's future. It seems to me like the developers really want to polish and smooth out the rough edges of what is already setting up to be a game that will be a highlight of this new decade. I have hope. I have hope. And with that being said, what are we doing on screen here? Here we are in one of the hidden catacombs that you can find throughout Elden Ring. If you think you fully explored an area like a land, quote unquote, in Elden Ring, you probably haven't. You probably might miss something like on a beach somewhere in between some of the trees in like a forest, and you will get some potentially short but really cool, short but sweet condensed levels like this one with fire traps and different enemies and bosses and potentially new goodies within all of them. Weapons, who knows, armor, ashes of war. What are we doing here? Well, I saw on my compass something you'll see on the top of the screen pointing in the direction of a host, and I'm looking for them right now, thinking that they're actually at the beginning of the level. Noticing this dead gargoyle looking thing, I then notice that they are actually hidden on that corner by the fire trap. And there they are. Here's one of the good reasons why you might need a bow in this game. Lord only knows why they only had 4 HP, but really quick note, this fire trap is activatable just by hitting it, and you can deactivate it by hitting it again, and of the fire trap, we're going back and forth. I want on top of it. No, I want on top of it. I want to be on top. Host is not really having a good time of it. I think we also want to be careful not to be burned alive in the middle of all of it. One clever jump attack afterwards, and that's GG's on this part. It's little moments like this that give me so much hope. So much hope for the invasions to come in Elden Ring. And dungeons like that aren't the only experience that we're going to get. Here we're in a mine of sorts. Here again, using the compass on the top to find the host that you see on screen will actually disappear once the host is within range. And speaking of being within range, this host has 2 friends. So my mentality here is just to provoke them to chase me further. Earlier I am now going to send the elevator down without me being on it to belay these co-opers. Knowing the area a little bit beforehand will actually go a long way. I know where the hidden dark cliffs are on the side here, so I can fall down to relative safety. They pull the lever to bring the elevator back up, and I use this opportunity not to fight them, but to go where they need to go, in this hidden tunnel that they need to jump off on. And guess who's the only one who jumped off? Co-opers. What was the plan? No, that's just it. There was no plan. You didn't jump off with your host. It would have been a different story. You left that host alone for 5 seconds, and that's all it took. If you're wondering what level I was at, base level, all of the classes started off at like rune level 5. That's what we're calling it, RL, for short. But you'll see it there. Just on the split screen, you could pause it. I was rune level 5. I upgraded my weapon, one scimitar to +3 and the other one to +1. And I just said, you know what? I'm going to get to invading. I want to find anyone and everyone, and I just want to start doing it. I didn't test this myself, but me, a bright red co-invader, crouching in the bush, I've heard through the grapevine that if you crouch in a bush, your player model disappears. And it seems that that's exactly what just happened. Either they aren't the most, observational duo, or that, that mechanic of being able to blend into a bush just by crouching down is a real thing. And you know what? If you were invading in an open world, and that mechanic isn't a genuine thing, oh man. I am so hype and excited just to invade in any, like, not just to be invading like in a Dark Souls level and like backtrack and use AI, but to actively hunt players that are just roaming around searching for the next ruin or village or roaming boss that's out there. You could just perch up on a high ground, on an elevated cliffside, surveying where the host and phantoms are going and potentially cutting them off at the pass. And that's what I'm trying to do right now, is slowly but surely taking my time, not trying to rush at it. I don't want to just do a full frontal assault. I want to try and get the most, find the best opportunity to either have the most damage done to them or just to, do maybe a hit and run strategy. The possibilities are racing. I'm not exactly sure where they're going to end up, but one possibility was that they're going to end up in the lake bed to the left, and there's some really tough enemies for them to fight there. Curiously, though, they end up stopping here by a black pit in the earth. It was so close. The plan was there. It was rock solid. I'm pretty sure that Phantom was being held on by a thread to this bare earth. I was so close. That spell is terrifying. That was almost all of my health. And at rune level 5, that's understandable. Nobody has health at this level. So if a spell like that does that much damage, then you know what? And you got hit by it with that long startup, maybe you had it coming. Maybe I had it coming. I should have died. But at this point, we're rolling. I'm actually, engaging in the fight. I want to test my weapons, and more particularly the weapon art that I'm using, the spinning slash. We talked about it a little bit earlier. This is one of those weapon arts that was quite powerful in the network test for a couple of reasons. If you hit somebody with it, just the very first attack motion, that motion right there, it breaks passive poise. Even on the heaviest armor that was in the network test, it was called the Crucible armor. And if you do the full weapon art, which it just also breaks guards like that. So here's what you get with that spinning slash weapon art in the network test. Who knows if they'll change it come full release. But the first attack stuns people. Doesn't matter how much poise or armor that they had, how heavy it was. And if you go through it, all the way through it, it true combos into itself. And if somebody tries to block it with a relatively light shield, of which there were quite a few light shields in the network test. There was only one shield that was like 100% physical defense, and the rest were weaker versions of it. You could reliably break guards. This opponent is such an example of me not being able to break the guard with just the spinning slash. I had to get creative with this one. Something that you might notice, the opponent is giving some respectable distance between me and the weapon art, and whenever I try to go in with my full dual moveset, it isn't breaking through the guard. So I go for the next best thing. The kick. Personally speaking, I do think switching to your bare hand just to do a kick is a bit more of a one-time gimmick than anything else. It did work that time, but I'm pretty sure after you have shown off that trick, it shouldn't work again. So what I do now, rather than just rely on the kick, is try to diversify the portfolio by giving out different timings, different attacks that the opponent might not be accounting for. Anything to basically catch them slipping. Just like that. With a running L1, get a good 100 damage. They're incredibly low on health now, which means I could play with my food. And in fact, we do play with our food a little bit. We do edge walk away a little bit. I feel like if that were any other game and they went for the backstab, it would have happened. It does seem a bit... Part of me wants to believe with the backstabs that are happening with Elden Ring, for those of you who have seen clips of it happening, part of me actually wants to believe that they do want to take backstabs. They do want to take backstabs in a new direction with Elden Ring, but some of the other clips of backstabs just also tell me that they just aren't working right when they should work. So it's a little bit of here nor there. We need to see some more progress entirely. Oh, what happened to that blue? What happened to that blue? Sorry, I go on tangents all the time here. We were talking about backstabs, but let's not talk about backstabs anymore. Let's talk about Spin Slash. And what the heck did I just do to that blue like a few moments ago when they got all keeled over from my arrows? Well, those are sleep arrows. And potentially every player's worst nightmare when you are being ganked. It's about to be this host's problem very, very quickly. A 1... a 2... a 3... a 4. When you get slept on, that leaves you wide open to getting hit for some considerable damage. I don't know if you can get backstabbed while you're being slept, but you can just get wailed on, which is exactly what happened to this host. So if it's any indication, it doesn't seem like armor pieces affect like your sleep proc of any kind. I've seemed to get like 4 arrows to any and all players when I was playing against them. But when you do get slept on, it's for like a solid 3, potentially 4 seconds. And if people are on you, if you're an invader, you've been hunting by 3 people, you're going to get whomped. If you're a host being chased by 2 reds, you're going to get romped. Sleep arrows, they are, you know, again, since it's 4 shots, you have the opportunity to get out of there as an invader, you know, use the bloody fingers and get to relative safety. The host, maybe not so much, but, you know, depending on whether or not the bow user is actually any good at shooting. I just so happened to get some lucky lock-on shots because he was getting stun locked. But with all that being said, that was only just a little bit of the tools, some of the weapons that we have at our disposal in this game, and all I can say so far, while there does need to be some fixing, there does need to be some tweaking here and there of a variety of issues, a variety of new mechanics that they brought into the game as well. I am very optimistic. I am very happy with what I played, with what I've seen, and oh man, these next 3 months, they will go by. They will pass. But for now, we have today and tomorrow. Y'all take care of yourselves. Thank you for watching this far. Tell somebody you love them. Tell somebody you care about them. And I'll be seeing y'all real soon. Just you wait. I'll be seeing y'all real soon. Take care. Peace.